We can go back +1 Crackthorn, but there's no way that we find the pings. So we just have to top deck a taunt. Oh! The taunt! Hello everyone, welcome back to another card review. Today we're taking a look at Gagana the Rainbow Birdship. And this card, in my opinion, is gonna be a B tier card. It is very excellent for what it gives. We'll get into a bit more on that in a sec. But the reason that it's only a B tier to me is because it's a legendary, which means you can only run one copy of it in a list, and that makes it quite inconsistent and unreliable to draw into in most cases. And this 4 land count also hurts it quite a bit. Now, if you're a newer player, 4 lands doesn't seem like very many. 4 is a very small number, but 4 is actually a very big number in Faeria. This comes down quite late in the game compared to other cards. Typically a lot of the action is happening in like turn 3, even turn 2 you can get off like some early removal spells and such, so it has a bit less impact than other things. Now it doesn't need to have a lot of impact, this is more of a mid to late game card anyways, but again with that consistency it does kind of harm it a little bit. Now if you don't know what wild means, wild is just this rainbow colored symbol on that number 4 there. It means that you need to have a number of special lands built equal to that wild land cost. And these lands can be anything. They can be like 3 forests, 1 lake, or they could be 4 mountains. Completely up to you, so this is a very flexible card. This also counts as a neutral card, so you can place it on any land, including neutral prairies, even though it does have a land cost. So Gagana will convert all of the cards in your hand to wild. As long as this Birdship stays alive, everything in your hand is going to be staying wild. So if you play like Crackthorn Beast, this is going to convert to a 6 land wild cost. As for the gift ability here, it says add a random Gagana crew member to your hand that costs 0. So here are all of the possible options that Gagana can pull for you. It's a wild assortment of cards, so you really can't play around this. This is more just a nice card to get that is just extra value once you drop this Gagana down. Really can't play around any of these cards. They're so wildly different from one another. But it just makes Gagana really great value, because the worst case you're gonna get out of this Gagana is maybe a 2-cost creature. They're all decent creatures, and at a 2-cost creature for free, that makes Gagana like a 4-cost 3/7 flyer, which is very, very good for what it gives. For a 4-land card, maybe not as good, but usually anything that gives you 2 creatures for 1 card is already doing quite well for itself. But the 3/7 body is so sturdy, and the fact that it's flying means you don't need lands for it to step on to collect and stuff, so you can send this off to double collect for you, and it can fit in any list that you want. But even though this card is super exceptional on paper, you don't see it being run too often, and that is largely due to those issues I talked about. It being a legendary, just very inconsistent in a list, and that 4 land count. It's just kind of awkward to fit in a lot of lists. This card's actual purpose is going to be for combo decks. So let's jump right into the lists that I've prepared for you today, because I think this will give you a better understanding for Gagana's purpose in Faeria's meta. So I've brought 2 combo lists here, because Gagana pretty much only fits in combo, in my opinion. You can put it in maybe like a Rakoan's list or something to kind of help your colors, and then you can place creatures on any lands you want. And that's not too bad an idea. I think that there are better options than Gagana in Rakoans, and Rakoans already being like multicolors, you shouldn't be having too many issues with your lands. And if you are, then you're probably maybe playing it not so well. So let's take a look at the Crackles Combo list first. This is a deck composed by Super Blizzard, but I really like his use of Gagana in this list. I think it shows off the card very, very well. You'll notice in this deck that we have Crackthorn Beast as maybe the highest land costing card in here at 6, but then we also have Feed the Forest at 5 forests. Now Gagana in this list allows us to build up to 6 lands, and then we can afford everything, so long as the Gagana is drawn. Now, if you are building a deck list with Gagana, you are going to have to be very careful of not just assuming that this Gagana is going to fix all of your land problems at once. You could consider just throwing Gagana in a wild list of colors, just any card you want from Faeria's card pool, just put it in that list, and Gagana should fix all your problems, right? But you should never rely on Gagana to fix all of your troubles for you. Again, this is one card in your entire deck that you have to draw into, and even if you have selective drawing through the use of, like, Curious Biomancer, this Gagana might just straight up die from your opponent. Maybe they choking sand it, or do something else to it, kill it off, and now you're in trouble if you built a list solely around this card. But in Lizard's list, I think it works very well, because we can go up to 6 lands here, and Gagana can fix our troubles for the Feed the Forest, but in the worst case scenario where Gagana gets cleared off, we can just extend those 2 extra lands to Feed the Forest with the help of these wood elementals. Elementals typically are only used in 6 land decks, and in the late game these elementals are pretty useless because you've already built the 6 lands, but in this list you can actually find use for the elementals in the late game as well, where you can extend to those 5 forests just in case Gagana gets cleared off or something. But this list is going to play quite combo oriented. You can see that we have Crackthorn Beast and Emerald Salamander both, and both of these cards do very similar things in that they give stats and they deal a little bit of damage to our opponent's creatures, but this list is going to play extremely heavy on the buffs, and all of these buffs are going to pair really nicely with the Rakoan Reveler, and if you noticed in the crew members, Rakoan Reveler is actually one of the options there, so that could be a neat little pick for you if the RNG is in your favor. A lot of the crew members are actually pretty powerful. You can also get Tiki Piper for this, which pairs super nice with Feed the Forest. So this list might be the best example for pairing up with those random assortment of crew members as well. But Rakoan Reveler is a card that gives you Faeria back, equal to its power when it dies. So the idea with this is that you pump this Reveler into a massive creature with the random pings from your Crackthorn Beast, your Emerald Salamander. We've got other buffs in here like Tethra, Mahinata, other buffs. So we build up a massive Reveler, which generates us a ton of Faeria, along with Feed the Forest, which generates us a ton of Faeria, and then so our deck weight is going to be quite heavy. We've got those 2 dragons in the list. Actually, we've got 3 dragons. We've also got Garrodin in this list, just for an extra Faeria sink, and maybe this Gary damage helps clean up some creatures that have been pinged with Crackthorn Beast. Typically, you would want to use the Gary first to kind of increase your RNG, but we'll talk about that as we get into the match. And then another card that is really cool in this that we don't get to see super often is Seek Shelter. This is actually a really powerful card. Discover is kind of a weak mechanic in theory, just because of the randomness. You can get screwed over so hard with this randomness, but the idea with Seek Shelter is that you're searching for a taunt creature, which is typically going to be a large statted creature, and you gain extra 3 life on that creature. So typically with Seek Shelter, you're just looking for chonk, and you're just going to get chonk. So the RNG doesn't really matter. You're almost always going to get something playable and good with the Seek Shelter, and then it can pair quite nicely with Feed the Forest, or you could boost its attack, and now it's just got a huge sturdy amount of life and is also a decent attacker. So this list is going to play quite defensively. You're going to try to build up sort of your combo, I guess, with the Revelers and the buffs, but also Gagana into Feed the Forest, and cleaning up some of these clunky land costs, because we are running a lot of forest cards and a lot of mountain cards as well that are very heavy. Ground Shaker at 3 mountains, and Seek Shelter at 3 forests. These are opposite ends of the spectrum, and you usually don't want to deck build like this. Usually you want to pick maybe 1 starting color, and then you get into your more expensive colors later, but Gagana does help us add more clunky things together, and it can work reasonably well. So let's get into the match, and I can talk a little bit more as we play. Alright, Summer Flame has so kindly offered to have a match with us for this one, so we're in for a treat, to be sure. So for the mulligan on this one, we're going to be looking for Living Willow, Wood Elemental, or Rakoan Reveler. And we got 2 of them. And now your next lands after your starting creature is going to heavily depend on your is going to heavily depend on your hand. But if your hand isn't really telling, I think forests are a safe bet. There's a lot of forest cards in here. Looks like we're getting rushed. So I'm just going to go for the Living Willow. I think it's going to be a tough one for a lot of rush to deal with. So let's just continue off this side. It does kind of suck grouping up lands like this. Typically you want lands on either side, but we will go for this. So we get the Well collection, and we can step back and taunt things. With Green Rush, it's a little bit different though. Living Willow won't be very important. But yeah, so we do have Ground Shaker in our opening hand. So building towards mountains next. We had double Ground Shaker now. Building towards mountain next is pretty good. This is gonna be a bit unfortunate though. That Queen's Guard's gonna have a field day on her face. Also can't really put Reveler here because he gets taunted, so I'm just gonna drop the Reveler on this side. I don't even need to drop the Reveler, to be fair. But sure, we'll drop it because I need stats. And we can take a face hit of whatever this is gonna be to the face. Oh, gonna go for the creature. That's fair, I did not block that. I think this is gonna be a short-lived match, to be honest. Got a Wood Elemental. Yeah, I think we're gonna be dead here. Not quite sure how I'm gonna manage. Maj. We can build up to... yeah. Let's just not build lands for our opponent to step on. We'll build between the wells. Maybe we can get something done here. We'll block the well spot. This will force our opponent to build a land on this space to hit into the Willow if he wants to collect. If there's a buff, might not even care. You can go double neutral, hit face. Oh, sorry, you're being taunted, right. Do have to deal with this Living Willow, so perhaps the 7/7 steps over and you collect. Green Rush is very good at controlling the wells. This is going to be interesting, actually. Let's not throw in the towel just yet. That Wood Ellie definitely helped with our land acceleration. If we can top deck some Feed the Forest pretty soon. Feed is going to help. We've lost our Willow though, so we'll see. I get to drop Ground Shaker next. That's nice. It's a chunky boy. That is a very chunky boy. We found a Willow. Willow's good. Willow's very good. Actually, we can Maj here. Maj is probably better, not gonna lie. We have 3, 4, 5. So we can collect. Can drop this Majinada. It's gonna put us to 7. We can just go for this. We're still taunting. We're on 7 power into this. This thing, the 1/1 sucks. Because the 1/1's gonna pop my protection on the Maj. Maybe I should have stayed here. Staying here? Then I can't hit into anything. Oh man, this is tough. I think we just have to go for this. I'm gonna take this trade. +1. Don't quite need the mountain just yet, so we'll +1 instead. Because I'm not able to play Ground Shaker on the next turn. I need 6 Faeria, and that's a lot of Faeria investment into one creature. Yep, sadly that 1/1 gets to pop the shield. Take that collection, but we do have a 5/5 still on board to fight that 7/3. Summer Flame does have 6 Faeria. Pretty easy to buff this out of range. Not that easy, you do need like Elderwood Embrace at least, or a 4 life trigger here. Yeah, I really need... what do I really need? Feed the Forest would be nice, but we're kind of off of 5 forests. 5 forests is going to be a bit tough. We have the Emerald Yak! Nice. Very classic, card. A very classic, green card. And we got feed. Ooh. I'm gonna take the face hit. We definitely want to go for value trades while we can get the... Oh, sorry, I can't value trade. Right. Cannot value trade that. Okay, so we have 2 roads we can go down now. We can go for feed or we can go for ground shaker. Feed is so expensive. This is gonna rely a lot on top decks. Ground shaker doesn't do a lot, to be honest. I think the feed route might be the answer. Not gonna lie. Let's go for feed. I think that's the answer. So we're gonna push lands this way. I might not play anything. I guess I can play Willow just to collect. Yeah, I don't mind Willow. This gives us 1 more collection. So going down the feed route allows us to come back in this game, hopefully. I know ground shakers are very juicy, but the feed route allows us to get a huge amount of Faeria, and then we are just praying for good top decks to fend off this horde here. I think that's our only option. Summerflame gonna say nope, we're gonna block up your lands. I figured that could happen, but this is being played into feed anyways, so I might as well have played the Willow there. It works. Now another thing to consider is where Salamander's going in the future. I really need Mountains center though, because my ground shakers are gonna be not in this fight whatsoever. So let's build this land. Also prevents Summerflame from completely landlocking me. Yeah, I do like this land. So we gotta be careful of that, because I need 1 more mountain. If Summerflame double neutrals again, I'm landlocked entirely. So we are just gonna feed. Please, good top tech. That's not good. We can't play that, so we're gonna pass. So this is one unfortunate scenario where we're being rushed. Rush is pretty good against this. I think Green Rush is probably quite decent. Depends on the start, but yeah. Gagana is a very slow card in this. We don't have ways to draw into it, so... and it's very expensive, so against Rush, we're just going to be controlling our Faeria wells a lot. It's going to be kind of tough. But we'll see what happens. Summerflame on 8 Faeria, controlling 3 wells. That's a lot. It's going to be tough to come back, but we'll make an attempt. We got a Mace Man coming down defensively. And the 3/5 Baby Yak. Interesting. Can ground shaker. It really sucks that I can't build these extra lands places. Like, I gotta build this land. Okay, he buffed to save this from ground shaker, I guess, or Crackthorn pings. So we can go for Centerland here. I just would love to Salamander, but unfortunately mountains are on all these spots. I want to Salamander the Reveler, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's going to be a sad, sad Salamander. I don't even think I want a Salamander. Let's fill in the Centerland. We'll go... Yeah, I'm not sure if it's worth it to Salamander. We can boost this to 3 attack, right? Contest the Emerald Yak. But... Queensguard continually hitting face. The thing is this is gonna die. Alright, we're just gonna go for this. We'll lock it in. Pre-buff over here. And we'll see what happens. This Ground Shaker's dead. But it's gonna be a tough trade for Summer. He's gonna need double buffs to take an efficient trade here. Was he afraid of, like, me going aggro? I guess. That's actually very fair. Because Tethra can be dropped as an 11-11. I had a lot of Faeria there, and an 11-11 would have been a very solid race. So yeah, I do understand the defensive play with the Yak and the Mace Man. That makes a lot of sense now. Now that I see it, Tethra can be played as an 11-11. A very scary creature, especially against Green Rush, which has no answers whatsoever to an 11-11. Tethra would have been cool as a top deck, I suppose. Found the Elderwood. That is unfortunate. He's gonna get the smack face for 5. Drop some more rush tools. And the Baby Yak gonna come and finish off this Reveler, potentially. We can Salamander here. I want to boost this Reveler as far as possible. The thing is, he's got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He needs 5 more damage. And if we Salamander, we have no more answers. Is this worth the value? Yeah, I'm not going to have any answers to the Queen's Guard after I hit it. Damn. This sucks. Let's take a draw. We found feed. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. And we hope that this pays off. We do this, we're gonna feed the Reveler. Oh right, the taunt survives, I forgot about that. We're gonna seek shelter. Could have double Ground Shaker there, I guess. We've got a 10 life boy. 5, then we can drop Ground Shaker. Ground Shaker's not doing anything. Take a pre-hit. Just Ground Shaker, just simply Ground Shaker. This becomes a collector now. You can see how much just insane amounts of Faeria value this deck can get. Oh man, this is gonna be a close game. This is gonna be a close game. One good thing about this taunt here, man, that was such a super solid play, honestly. Really unfortunate thing, really unfortunate thing for the Green Rush player is that they don't have 1 damage sources that are very efficient. Unless Summer has teched in, like, Falcon Dive for some reason, I'm not expecting this Ground Shaker to die. The Baby Yak can kill it. Baby Yak can kill it. Found a buff, going up to 7 attack. Now against Green Rush, they have no indirect damage sources, so as long as we're above 1 life, or above 0 life I suppose, we're safe. So we'll see how goes it. 3 Faeria left. Surprise tools can come in the forms of Runin's Shrine. Found another guidance. Gonna have to find answers for that 9-7. Oh no! Everything being invested in there. So we need to use this taunt to come over and taunt that. Found a Gary. Can't play the Gary. We have a Ground Shaker though. No lands for Ground Shaker. We just take this. Oh, I can't even take the pre-hit because I need my taunt to step over. Ground Shaker's gonna have to come passive? Really? That's very unfortunate. Oh. I wonder if it's worth passing and going for Garridan. Ground Shaker just comes in such an irrelevant position. Another thing we can do is come over with Ground Shaker. Can take the taunt so we can move off of that mountain. We have to come over this way. How am I doing this? Ground Shaker's just so much cheaper. I have to go for Ground Shaker. You can step over. Step over this way. We're gonna do this. +1 Ground Shaker. Okay. We're just gonna hope that that's gonna do it. I might actually take a pre-hit. Yeah, we're gonna take a pre-hit. The reason I'm taking pre-hit is because he can buff out of range, and once again, mono green doesn't have many 1 damage sources. Very scary thing about this, though, is he can just plant a creature on the left side, and I have no answers. I currently have no answers. I was debating stepping the 2-1 here, but I don't know if that really helps. I kind of just need a top-decked taunt here, because that's a big boy. Alright. Yeah, Crackthorn's not gonna cut it. We can go back, +1 Crackthorn, but there's no way that we find the pings. So we just have to top deck a taunt. Oh! The taunt! Oh my god, we found it! The Imperial Guard! Amazing! Wow! That is such a clutch top deck. Okay, now we step over, like, everything to fight this. We give up the collections, I believe? Let me see, is Crackthorn gonna be viable next turn? I really think I need these fighting tools. And we should be okay now, as well. What a clutch top deck! Oh my god. That was the only card that could have saved me. I guess Living Willow could have saved me too. Stepping on special lands from your opponent, very important to do as well in this type of match. Okay, I might have to double trade Ground Shakers. This is a heal? Oh, yeah, 7, 8, 9 though. I think keeping as many creatures on my side open as possible is really good. I mean, if we use the guidance as an attacking tool here, yeah, and then we just go for +1. We can +1 into Crackthorn. Summer's on limited cards and everything now, so we'll go like this. Hit in this. We go +1. Now I need to step center, unfortunately. Actually, we can step on the forest here. I need to give up my collections. Because we're on such a low life total, I need to answer everything that Summer plays here. Haven't seen any Rune and Shrine yet, though, so it could be coming in the future. But I've left open this Crackthorn Beast for myself, so should be good. Willow! Okay, let's see if there's a buff. If there's no buff, yes. Crackthorn, so good! Alright, we can come back now. Oof. We can come back. We can take a sidestep as well. Threaten this collection. We don't have to go for it. Probably just going to drop a creature. And he's going to reset, try and go for a double collector. I respect it. That is a very solid play from Summer. Can go for another Crackthorn. I think I'm just going to sidestep, take a collection. I think I'm gonna... is this worth body blocking? I do kind of need these attacking tools still. How badly do I want to give Mr. Opponent extra things? I give him double collection, but at the same time, I am also double collecting. I'm contesting the creature. As long as I contest his stuff, I think I'm fine. So let's just drop him here, see where the pings go. Are you kidding? Wow, that was stupid RNG. I hate RNG so much, but wow, that is such an awful, awful way to go. I'm sorry, but you poor Sagami. Poor Sagami. Oh my god. Okay, so now we're fine to do whatever we want. I think I'm gonna slowly march this 4-4 forwards. I could feed, but I don't think there's a need currently. Let's possibly just take a draw. Or +1. Yeah, let's just +1. I should be fine. We've got so much going on for ourselves now. So let's step this over. We'll replace Wood Ellie over here as a collector. We'll make this aggressive land so that we can plant some creatures there in the future. I think we've done it. I think we've beat the mono green. I'm not sure what more the summer can do anymore. Now that we've established collections, all of these wells, and Gagana not in sight whatsoever, but you can kind of see how Gagana would have helped. Well, okay, in the rush matchup, Gagana wouldn't help super much. It's kind of too expensive. It's 6 Faeria, and the 3-7 stat line's probably not doing a lot versus rush. And we need to make sure that our very limited resources in the early game are going towards clearing creatures. But in a non-rush format, you might be able to see that Gagana can like fly off and collect, and then we don't even need to build up to 8 lands. We can just build 6 lands, and then we can feed freely. Oh my god, that was a great answer from Summerflame though. That dash I probably should have been careful of, but the game is being very kind to me and giving me another top deck taunt. But I may have threw this game by leaving that space open to just get an uber buff creature. But we are just gonna grab a taunt. We'll just take the beefiest thing, really. I could actually get an ogre battler. That's funny. Is that worth it? 3 extra Faeria for 1 power, 3 life. Probably the life is more efficient. We don't have to decide that extensively anyways, but we'll slap a taunt here. We'll take a pre-hit. And there's the surrender from Summer because that was his last option of winning, and it came very close too. If I hadn't top decked that taunt there, Summer probably had that, to be honest. I might have been able to draw for my second Runin's Guidance, but wow, what an exciting match. So thanks to Summerflame for that match. Very exciting. We did not get to see Gagana, unfortunately, but we definitely will in the next match. So let's move on to that one. Alright, we are back with our next list, and this is gonna play even more combo heavy than that last list. This is the Ruby Yak OTK. And there's a lot to talk about with this one. It's a very difficult deck to pilot, so if you are new to the game, maybe skip this one out. But it's very satisfying once you pull off this combo. I'm not entirely sure who came up with this idea. It wasn't me. I know the player ASDG was playing around with this idea in recent past, but I'm pretty sure somebody else created it even before him. But this list, essentially, the game plan is to use Fugoro with Fugoro's Medallion to transform all of your creatures into Ruby Yak. Now Ruby Yak says that whenever a friendly Yak is dealt damage, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So if you can get multiple Yaks, this can trigger multiple times per damage ping on a Yak. So we are also going to pair this up with the card Famine to deal 1 damage to every creature. Now if you have 5 Ruby Yaks on the board at once, and you use Famine, each individual Yak is gonna trigger 5 times, equating to 25 total damage, 5 times 5. So that's the idea for this list. We need to get 5 creatures on the board, one of those being Ruby Yaks, and then we're gonna Fugoro's Medallion to transform them all into other Ruby Yaks. This combo is very expensive, and we need to pop it off as early as possible. So that's why you see a ton of draw tools in here, like the Storyteller, Lore Thief, Curious Biomancer, Triton Stargazer, so many different draw tools, and a lot of different Faeria generation tools as well. We've got triple soul packs, We've got some Windfalls, Failed Experiment, and Feed the Forest. So this deck is pretty much just every Faeria generation tool and every draw tool in the game, and Gagana can enable this so well. Those soul packs have no need to be in this deck, but Gagana just enables that, and we can draw into the Gagana early with the Biomancer. And you're not worried as much about losing the Gagana in this because you're wanting to win this game on turn 6 exactly. Once you have lands built up to Fagoro, then you ideally win the game because you can pop off with an infinite combo of just drawing and Faeria generation and all of this stuff. Though sometimes you can win earlier than turn 6, that is why we have Wild Growth in this list. This is kind of a weird card to see, you don't normally see this in any list at all, but it's the most efficient tool of land generation, and I don't want to run elementals in this because it's just way too expensive. Now the other neat combo in this list is where Voice of Hunger comes into play. This might be a weird card to see at first as well, but how this deck is going to perform is we're going to be playing a lot of these draw tools down, which are pretty useless bodies. Voice of Hunger can eat all of these bodies up, building up a massive statted creature, and then you can use Feed the Forest on it to gain a massive amount of Faeria. And this way you can use all of these small little creatures that you're playing down to feed the feed. So that way you're getting even more bang for your buck on this card. And then we've got Tyrian Golem to kind of do the same job, where it's just a solid 10 life creature that we can use Feed the Forest on. You can even Voice of Hunger the Tyrian, and then you've got all of these stats just in one place, and you only need one Feed the Forest top decked here. And the Dreamkeeper here is just to refresh your hand. Maybe you just draw a bad hand because it's really important that you have a good hand in this. So this can kind of recycle your cards so you can keep going with the combo and you get all those combo pieces in hand. You might be asking why there's 3 Storytellers in here and only 2 of all the other draw tools, because Storyteller draws a card for your opponent. That seems bad, but Storyteller is very important in this list, largely because it's neutral, so it can come down on any land, and you're building a lot of weird lands here, but also that 2 life stat allows you to get more stats on your Voice of Hunger, 1 more stat than a Lore Thief. So that actually matters a lot, getting yourself that extra 1 Faeria. It can also heal you because ideally for your opponent they're going to be like rushing you to try and stop this from happening. So you can get a little bit of extra heal off of the Storyteller, and drawing your opponent cards isn't really going to make a difference because you're not interacting with them at all. They can barely interact with you at all because all you're doing is building up this combo. The one way to stop this type of combo list is by your opponent stepping on all of your lands. So if you ever face a Yak OTK list, the best strategy is to step on all of their lands, because remember, we need 5 creatures on board to transform into all of these Yaks to deal that 25 damage. So our land space is very limited. Now you should keep track of your opponent's health total as well, because some players play like cards like Soul Pact or other self-burn cards. If they are using cards like this, you might be able to get away with only 4 Yaks, because 4 times 4 is 16. So keep track of their life total, because if they get down to 16 life, this combo might be a bit easier to pull off. So hopefully you get the idea of this list. Let's get into a match. I may have to play fast because of the turn timer. The turn timer is honestly your biggest enemy in this type of list, because there's just so many animations and so many cards that you have to play all at once, comboing in the same turn. So if you do want to get good at this type of list, I would suggest playing against an AI first to have an infinite well of time bank, because there is definitely a learning curve with this type of list. So let's get into it and see if we can pull off a Yak OTK combo. Alright, so for the mulligan, you're going to do a full mulligan to try and get Lore Thief or Storyteller. It's not the end of the world if you don't get them. This is a combo list. We don't really care too much about collections. It's just nice if you can manage to get a collector. Looks like we're going against a slow list with Bone Collector, so that's very good for us. Now we're going to start with lakes to the sides. We want 2 lakes for our Lore Thief, just in case that we draw into it. The lands are going to be quite weird in this, of course. We got a Dreamkeeper here. We're just going to continue building up probably to this Windfall. I think I'm just going to invest this Explore here. You have to worry quite a lot about hand size a lot of the time. So for your next lands, it's going to depend on your current hand. Looks like our opponent is going to be a bit more aggressive. That's okay. Got the Ruby Yak, but I don't really care for that. Now for the next lands, I'm going to go for Deserts. Now one thing I probably should have done was build my lands to only one side. For the feed potential with Voice of Hunger needs all of your lands in one space, and it's a lot easier to defend one side of your board as well. Might have been a little optimistic tossing up my lands here. So I'm going for Deserts now, just because of Soul Pact. Like I said, your hand size can get very clunky, so you need to be able to play cards from hand while you build up cards and the combo. Excuse me. Now my opponent's got 4 creatures. So this Biomancer can draw 4. I can Windfall here. Let's just get this out of the way. So I play Bio, I go down to 4, I draw 4, I go up to 8. So yes, should be good. Now you want to build lands in a cluster like this. These lands were very dumb. Don't do what I did there. So we're going to draw 4, and we're safe to do this because we are on we're on 8 cards, so we can draw 1 card next turn. We're not going to overdraw. Now I do have Gagana, but I don't quite want to play it just yet. Maybe I do. Sack doesn't typically run hard removal. This player might run hard removal, so maybe we don't play it here. Let's just be a little risky. We'll play it. We can drop the other creature on the other side as a collector, depending on what it is. It's a Reveler. Sure. So we'll drop the Reveler. You do have to be very careful that your Voice of Hunger isn't sacking the Gagana, because you need this to survive. Yeah, so very risky playing the Gagana here, by the way. If you think your opponent does have hard removal, don't play this, because if this dies, you lose the game. This is your only win, because otherwise you can't feed. There's just no hope to build up 5 forests from this place. We found a Windfall. Nice. So I'm going to Windfall. We're going to have to play turns very quickly. I'm going to build a forest up this way, because like I said, you want to cluster your lands. Forest is great for... Let me play out my turn, I'll explain what it's great for. We don't actually have to play anything here, we're not pressured to. I guess I could put a Storyteller this side just to collect, since that's going to die. Yeah, this puts me down to 6, then 7, 8. Yeah, we can afford a Storyteller. And we got a Soul Pact and a new Lonnie. Nice. So we'll just hold off until next turn. So yeah, Forest is a great land as well to play into Wild Growth. Pretty much your early playing cards are going to be that Lore Thief, the most important. Also plays into Biomancer. But Soul Pact is really good just to get them out of your hand. And then the Forest is great for Wild Growth. In this case, because I played the Gagana, it doesn't really matter what I play, but these are usually the best starting lands. 6th land doesn't really matter. But we might get this. We might get this. It's seeming that way. Voice of Hunger is honestly a very important combo piece, just because of how many stats this gives you. Now we're going to have to retreat the Gagana off of this land in order for Voice not to kill it. Voice is probably going to target like this space, so our next land we might want to build up here. So let's play this very quickly. We do have to go very quick. Okay, build the land for... This goes down to 6. I don't have enough hand space currently for this. We could drop this. Let's just go for Storyteller. We'll take a collect. found a lore thief. Let's go down to 7, then 8, 9. We can afford one more. Let's play this one. Ooh, I'm not getting any failed experiment, huh? Okay, let's... Too bad. Dreamkeeper's an option here, but this is just so good. I think it's not many stats, but I think I'm just gonna go for it. So let's go for this. Play the feed, see what we draw. It's another feed. Awesome. So I've got 2 combo pieces here. Rubiak plus this. I still need a bunch of creatures. Let's play this, draw 2 cards, see what happens. Wild growth. Let's draw, let's play this. Okay. So that's going to be the end of my timer, so I'm not going to play anything anymore. You can see how much you got to play against your own clock. But we're down to 16 cards left in our deck. Should be pretty easy to find the combo now. Let's see, we got Rubiak. Still haven't found Fagoro though. Hopefully I can find a feed. Feed on Tyrian Golem would be pretty excellent. I just played my Dreamkeeper. So that means, I don't need to care about how many cards I have in hand. It's good to hold more cards in hand so that the Dreamkeeper has more draw potential, more discount potential, but now we can just throw out this wild growth at no cost. And we'll go up to our 6 lands that way. Very good also. No, it doesn't matter anymore. I was gonna say my opponent landlocked me on the left side, so my wild growth is guaranteed to go here, but it doesn't matter where these extra creatures are going. So our goal is to play Rubiak, play the Fagoro card, and play Famine. Now normally I think that's like 18 Faeria. Fagoro's 11, this one's 5, 16, 17, 18, yeah. So it's an 18 Faeria combo. Which is why we need so much Faeria in this list. So we'll see if we can generate that. We've got a failed experiment into Stargazer. Now Ulani's a good early draw tool, but it's not going to do a lot in the late game because I no longer have any red cards in my list, I think. Oh my god, we got the feed. That's so good. So let's play fast. We found the feed. This is going to pop out. I need Famine and I need Fagoro still. Okay. Let's just play the failed. This should give me... I should be able to play this. 1, 2, 3. There's the Famine. I still need Fagoro though. Where are you, Fagoro? I got 3 cards left in the deck. Can I play this? That puts me to 7. Yep, that puts me to 9. Okay, this might be it. There he is! There's the Fagoro, so we're gonna play the Rubiak. Now we can play the combo. I can even collect if I want. So we get this, and that's it. That's the combo. We're gonna transform everything into Rubiak. Make sure to do this last, because as soon as you press this transform button, that Birdship is disappearing. He's becoming a Rubiak. Another great thing to note is that over ocean tiles, that stays alive. So, let's let it rip, and GG. Just like that, we have murdered our opponent. Many, many pings. And there we go, there's our victory with the Yak OTK. So hopefully you enjoyed that and grasped how this deck functions. It's very complicated, you have to think very fast, which is why I recommend that you play against an AI first, just to get down the mechanics. So that's going to be it for this card review series. Let me know which card you want to see next in the comments down below. This was actually recommended to me by Eru in one of my previous videos. So I'm going to try and take all of your suggestions and make new guide videos out of that. So until next time, and have fun!